Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, the 22nd of July, rather chilly morning here in Polokwane. In the reading from Romans, a reading set for morning prayer today, Paul writes in chapter 14 that we are to respect one another. He uses as his example those who are happy to eat meat and those who feel for whatever reason, but have a strong conviction that they ought not to eat meat. And he calls upon these two groups of people not to judge one another. If you feel called to not eat meat, then don't judge that person who does. And if you feel that it's okay to eat meat, this is Paul's example, then don't judge that person who feels they do not want to eat meat. And Paul takes it even a step further, and he says, if, for example, your eating meat is going to cause offense or cause your brother to sin, then for that period, be gracious. Don't eat meat at that particular meal. It makes perfect sense to me, as difficult as it may be, because God's calling us to not judge one another, to accept that we are all saved by God. He died for absolutely every single one of us. He rose from the dead, did Jesus, absolutely for every single one of us. And so we mustn't cause dissension amongst our human relationships over something as petty and yet as important as it may be for the individual as to whether you eat meat or not, or which day you use to celebrate as the Lord's Day. And I remember as a young Christian having wonderfully long, heated debates with friends who might have called themselves vegetarian, and we would debate as to whether it was right to eat meat, and if it offended them, I should give up meat completely and utterly. That was possibly pushing the point a little bit. But it brings me to the story of Mary Magdalene, and we remember her today in the church's calendar. Now, Mary is not to be confused with Mary of Bethany, the sister to Lazarus and Martha, and there is no conclusive proof that this Mary Magdalene is also the Mary who is the prostitute who wipes Jesus' feet with her tears and her hair, although most commentators would accept that probably it's the same Mary. And that raises an interesting example, because here is then a woman, Mary Magdalene, who may well be Mary the prostitute, and yet she's one of the first to see the risen Lord. She is early on in Jesus' ministry healed by Jesus. She receives this grace. Jesus does not judge her. He simply calls her to stop her sinful life, and she, in penitence, does exactly that. And in that penitent life, she has the most remarkable relationship with the Lord Jesus, as do all the other disciples, as can you and me when we are penitent before the Lord. So, dear friends, my message today simply is to be gracious to one another, accept that we have our differences and different opinions. Don't judge people because of it. Because God has not judged you because of your opinions. Love one another, live in harmony with one another, support one another. Folks, have a wonderful day. God bless.